Welcome to Miners Minds, ladies and gentlemen. So, 2023 is at a year's end. The year's over. Okay, and some people put out the worst blaster of 2023. Well, the worst is kind of a negative thing to say. So, I have three blasters here that just were disappointing to me. All right, so these are the most disappointing blasters of 2023 to me. And again, some of these picks will shock you. Okay? But I have various reasons why. So let's begin, shall we? We'll start off with the beginning of the year, the first disappointment I had of 2023. This one here. This is the Gameface Try-On. This blaster came out at the beginning of 2023, okay? Now, you guys are going to say, wow, that's a really bizarre pick to start off with, Mr. Sandman. Any idea why? Sure. When this blaster came out, yes, everybody went absolutely apeshit over it, and so did I. But this blaster has one problem. It's known as the click-click-dud syndrome, okay? As in, you could prime this thing back, forward, whatever, and it won't function all the time. It won't fire all the time. People found that you actually had to wallow out your catch, 1, 2, or not play with this blaster like a little girl. Actually play rough with it for about 5 or 6 mags, and then you'll wear out the catch enough to where it functions like it normally should. Basically, the tolerances were too tight from Gameface. That and another issue was you couldn't get this blaster to do much more than 230 or so. Which for most people that's great, because most caps are around 200 to 250 depending on where you play. Some caps were less than that. But this blaster did allow you to tune it up or down or whatever, But the click-click-dud issue was just a no-go for me. That was one of the main reasons why I chose this blaster to be a disappointment, because it was a disappointment to me. I mean, when you build a blaster and you're putting it out on the market, it should function relatively well. You shouldn't have people saying, well, what about a click-click-dud? That's exactly what it sounds like. You go to prime it back and you go click, click, and no fire. You see what I'm saying? That's a flaw in the blaster itself. Yes, you can wallow out the catch, that'll fix the issue, but that's what it is with this one. And like I said, as great as this blaster was, that was the issue with it, was the click-click-dud. Okay? Now, the next blaster is really going to surprise you, I'll probably get a bunch of hate for it, but it is what it is, and I have my reasons why. And keep this in mind. This is open to discussion for anybody. But me, I've reviewed over 100 blasters this year alone. So I'm pretty safe to say that for me, the next one is this guy here, the Unicorn. You guys are going to say, oh my God, no, absolutely, why? Simple. One is too small. Okay. And when I say that, I'm used to using something about the size of an M4. Okay. There's something this small to me, is smaller than an Uzi 9mm. This is about the size of a Mac 10. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. Maybe, a Mac 10 or something like that, or a Ingram Mac 11 or something. But this is a very small compact blaster. Okay, and the reason being is, one, aside from it being too small, this blaster was overhyped and underdelivered. Okay, one, when you got this blaster from China, it had a slotted plunger tube in it, so you had to spend money immediately to upgrade the tube. That's $10. The blaster here costs $99, but between $80 and $100, I'll just say, depending on where you get it from. So the first thing was this blaster being small. 2, it had a slotted plunger tube. people have played with this blaster and they've tried to get it to go above 180 or so, which it can be done. The blaster will go up to 200 roughly, but you have to put all metal parts in it by then, so which brings this blaster well up close to $150, $130 to $150. And for that money, you could just go out and buy a worker Seagull and be done with it. You kind of see my frustration there. You know, because a worker Seagull in its stock form, you know, it does about 175 to 180. And that's with just dropping in one of the included springs. If you put a Harrier spring in it, it'll go up to 250, no problem. You kind of see my frustration there. You know, but like I said, though, this blaster here, though, is, and a lot of people are going to say, well, no. Like I said, these are just my picks. This blaster here, in my opinion, was overhyped, under-delivered. It was too small. Yes, you could mod it. Yes, you could do other things to it, but the parts were egregiously priced, in my opinion. Not you know, to say that they're not cheap or whatever, because I looked at a metal kit for this blaster is $30. Okay, and then if you want any upgraded springs or anything like that, you know, then that's extra money, of course, you know. But even with just another plunger tube replacement, which is like the bare minimum you have to do this blaster, it shoots about 140 to 160. I put in a spring from M416 and it made the blaster unusable almost. I literally had to put it on the floor to prime it, if that tells you anything. You know, but so like I said, this is why this blaster is one of my biggest disappointments, you know, because it was overhyped and under-delivered. You had to replace out the plunger tube, and it was very hard to get this blaster to go above, you know, 180 without some serious modification, dumping some serious money into this blaster. And to me, this blaster wasn't worth dumping $50 to $60 worth of parts into it. I'm sorry. You know, as nice as it is, that's the whole problem. It's too small, overhyped, under-delivered, and it just wasn't worth dumping the money in. But people are going to say, yeah, well, of course it was. And again, everybody's opinion is their own. The third and final pick, this guy here, the Omni Pro. And you guys are going to say, well, I really don't understand this one. But follow me if you will. When the Omni Pro came out, the launch was terrible. In fact, it was so bad that they stopped selling the blaster because of either A, it didn't shoot straight right out of the box, which is terrible. B, my blaster actually, one of the micro switches fried and it wouldn't stop revving, and I smelled smoke and the whole 9 yards. So, you know, there was a lot of mechanical failures with this blaster. The Talon magazines didn't work, as in I could grab a Talon magazine and yank it out of my old one and on this one. Okay, so Dartzone recalled all the Omni Pros, whatever, you know, no harm, no foul. So when they announced the Gen 2 Omni Pro, which this one allegedly is, you know, this blaster here is supposed to be one of their, quote, Gen 2s. I picked this one up at Black Friday. This blaster costs $90 normally. This blaster is not worth $90. You know, it still has the horrible trigger delay. I mean, it's terrible. The trigger delay is just terrible. On semi-auto, it's pretty much unusable. This blaster, best use is on either 3-round burst or full auto, but mainly full auto. You know, and they did not fix the Talon magazine. At least this one shoots straight. So I guess, you know, 1 out of 3 issues that they solved isn't bad, you know. But they even said in their videos, oh no, we fixed all 3 problems with the Omni Pro. Well, to that, I call BS. This one's living proof, you know what I mean? I mean, I could rip out a Talon magazine right on camera. Here, watch. It's Worker 18-round Talon magazine. You should not be able to do that at all. Here, one more time, just for GP. You shouldn't be able to do that with any blaster. I didn't even touch the mag release or anything. Ripped it, put it right in, pulled it right out. You know, that's one of the reasons why I say this blaster was a big disappointment. But these are my 3 disappointments for the year. This blaster here, because of the abysmal launch, and they really only half fixed it, or maybe even a third of the way fixed it. They should have fixed it the rest of the way, in my opinion. But this is one of the disappointments of the year that I had to deal with. This one, the unicorn, just because it was overhyped and underdelivered, too short, and yes, you can mod it, but once you put the money into modding this thing, it just still was not worth it because you could buy a Seagull by then. See what I'm saying? And the worker Seagull just basically just killed that blaster. And same with the X-Shot Bullpup and this one here. Reason being is because of the mechanical failure rates on this one with the click-click-dud issue. Now, I do have one other honorable mention, but I did not pick the blaster up, thank God. And it was made by the Gameface company as well. It's called the Gion. The Gion was a copy of the Strikemaster SP50 out of China, which is kind of like a Gecko clone in a way. And the Gecko clone thing might be a lazy man's way of saying it, but yeah, it is what it is. That blaster was so terrible that Luke recalled all of his within 48 hours after everybody complained to him. Gameface hasn't even sold them yet, so I never got to pick one up to be personally disappointed. So that's why I'm going to consider it an honorable mention. But yeah, these are my 3 biggest disappointments of 2023. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and until next time, this is Milo's Mods signing off.